Well, as luck would have it, Mr. Mower Man is still outside. You can probably hear him. And I wish you'd go away. Oh, it's annoying, very annoying. How are we all this morning? He should be going any minute. Yeah, there he goes. Go away. Oh, can everybody hear me all right? I hope you can hear me. I should be on and going. That was an awesome premiere, Brian. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I wish you'd just go away. Unbelievable. They do it once a month, and today happened to be the day. That's all right, Brian. It was amazing. Looking forward to chapter 2, or part 2. To top it all off with the Mower Man and the rest of it, and I don't know what he's doing, because there's no more grass up here. Oh, go away. Take your trolley and go. Oh, thanks. He's gone. Right. Where was I? Yeah, I'm not feeling the best this morning. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I haven't really been sleeping very well, so as a friend of mine says when she's feeling like this, she's a bit NQR, not quite right, but we will soldier on. Okay, today is all about part 2 of customizing DAZ Studio toolbars and menus. Now, last session I do believe we got up to creating your own toolbars, and today I want to go through not only creating your own toolbars, but your own drop-down menus as well, and also how to add your own custom icon to either the menu or the toolbar. And if you're using a DAZ action that does not have a toolbar, you can actually add the toolbar to that, and it will appear in both the pull-down menu and the toolbar. So I think we'll just get straight into it and show you what I mean. This morning I created this little pull-down menu here, but I haven't populated it. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And we hit the F3 key, or press the F key 3. And come over here to menus. Now all of this up here along the top, the menus along the top, are under what they call the main menu bar. So on the main menu bar, oops, sorry, wrong one. I've got to stop doing that. You've got your main menu bar here, which corresponds to all of these up here. And as you can see, I've got a DAZ characters pull down menu here. Now I'm going to delete it and show you how to create it. So I can remove it from here and it's gone. But I have to hit, I've got to stop using that word, apply, and then accept before it will go away, which is, it's a bit of a pain, but that's the way DAZ Studio works. And I think it's the programming language that it's written in, which I do believe is TCL or Tickle. Now on the main menu bar, it is very important where you right click now, because that is where it will place your new pull down menu. So if I was to click in here on file, it would put it either before or after file. Now we don't want that, we want it right at the end. So where this EJ scripts is, I'm going to right click and create a submenu. Now I can name it DAZ characters. Okay, now before I do anything else or I put anything in that menu, I must click apply and accept. The number of times I've just had accept and DAZ has locked up and crashed, it's beyond belief. But you have to do that and then come back to it with F3. Now this is something you're going to be doing on a daily basis. So it pretty much, once you get in there and you get used to it and you've got all your stuff laid out the way you want it, you probably won't touch it for a long time. So it was, yeah. Anyway, go back to menus and now we have the main menu bar. Now it's the same process as with the toolbars. You find the items that you wish in the actions panel here under custom actions, and you can actually go and select one of the inbuilt DAZ actions or functions, as I like to call them. So if I wanted to now drag, say, Victoria for my custom one into DAZ characters, and then my custom Michael 4, and then Genesis 3, and you can reorder them, and then Genesis 8, and I'll just do a couple so that you get the idea. Now as soon as I click on apply and then accept, I now have them down here in a pull down. So if you actually prefer a pull down menu to a toolbar, because you're not limited on the length of the pull down menu other than your screen resolution, whereas you are limited by the screen space you have at the top of the interface for the icons and on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Okay, and that's how you actually create your DAZ, your DAZ characters, your Windows pull down menus. Now I do not know if there's a limitation on how many of these pull down menus you can have. I know in another application I use it's 16 is the maximum, but I don't think there's a limitation in DAZ Studio. Well, no documentation I could find that says whether there's a limitation or not. I mean, you do have the limit with your screen space for the icon, for the toolbars, but not with the pull down menus. So yeah, now if you wanted to add, a custom icon to an already existing DAZ action, as I have here over on the right hand side with the subdivision mesh to subdivide the mesh or to add a smoothing modifier. Now these are my custom icons and I've never really liked them. I just don't like them. They're just very basic. Now you can create your own. You can create your own with either Photoshop, with Illustrator, with PaintShop Pro, with GIMP, with Corel Draw or Clip Studio Paint. It doesn't really matter what is your favourite 2D application for creating that sort of thing. You can do it in any of them. I have it in Photoshop. Now I created two this morning and I have them in here in Photoshop, and we'll just go down to that one. I have them in Photoshop. Now I'll just turn that off and that off and turn that on. Get that out of there. Turn that on, turn the other one off. And these are the ones I'm going to use to replace those two little figures you saw on the icons just before. Now, I like to start with a higher res canvas, and normally I start with a 5000 by 5000 pixel canvas because it's easier when you actually reduce the image size. You'll get a clearer image. If you start off with a smaller one, you may not get the resolution that you're looking for. Now, DAZ Studio icons, which have come across from, I suppose, the thumbnails in your content library, all started with Poser when they were 91 by 91 or 90 by 90 or 128 by 128, 256 by 256, 512 by 512. The larger you make it, if I was now to save that as a PNG and then load it into DAZ Studio using the F3 Customize, DAZ may have a problem down-resing that, and it can crash DAZ Studio. So what I tend to do is have it at that size, and then I bring it down to whatever image size that I want it to be. And in this case, I'm going to do it at 512, and that seems to work very well, but you could do it at 256, 128, or 91 if you wished. So now I'm going to change this, and hopefully this will work. And if I make that, say, 512, and go OK. OK, now I'll just export that out as a transparent, put your teeth in, Stephen, transparent PNG. Now you can put a background on it if you wish. Now there's a bit of a trick now in that one would be, I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? You would probably want to just save it somewhere on either your desktop or a hard drive outside of your DAZ Studio library. That can cause issues. So what I'm suggesting is that you put it in your main DAZ Studio library, when I find mine, and I actually created a resources folder when I can find that, which is up here somewhere. Ah, there it is. And I keep them in here. DAZ finds them quicker if they are part of the DAZ Studio library content folder structure than if you have them outside in a different folder on your desktop or on another drive or whatever. It seems to find it faster. I have had issues in the past where, yeah, I know, Christina, I was just doing it the long way around because I'm very much used to CS6. I haven't been on the latest CC versions for very long, and I don't use Photoshop a great deal other than for just production on my images. And I save them in here, and I give it the name I want to give it, even though I've saved this before. Get rid of that and call it sub div and put that in there. And I can turn that off, turn that on, and that's gone down as well, which is good because it does it all at the same time. So now I can export this as well. And this is really just to show you the process of, yeah, I know you can do it in here, Christina, I know. And export this out, put it in the same place, and just call this SMTH mod. That'll do. Okay, now I'm just going to minimize that. Going back into DAZ Studio, F3 again, or you can go up to your window, workspace, customize here if you so wish. But I'm just going to F3. Now this is where it gets interesting, because the subdivision and the smoothing modifier are part of DAZ Studio. So they won't be in custom actions up here, they will be down in one of these. And there are a lot of them. I just happen to know, because I ran through this morning, that it is in geometry editing. And there they are there. There's my two old ones. So I'm going to start with the smoothing modifier. I remember that. I'm lazy too. And I right click. Now you can, at the same time, you can add a keyboard shortcut here if you wanted to. You can clear the icon, use the default icon if it exists within DAZ Studio. A lot don't have icons. This one doesn't. So I can actually change the icon, which will take me to, and because I've done this before, it remembers where I am. You might have to go and find your folder that you put it in, but it remembers where I am. So that was the smoothing, and I can't see it for the life of me. Ah, there it is. Click that. And it comes out rather large because I made it 512. Had I made it 91 by 91, it probably would have been smaller. It doesn't really matter. It's still going to come out on there. And I'm going to show you that right now. So if I hit apply, and it better not make a liar of me, and accept, there it is. Changed. Now it's probably a little small, and I could change the color of the font, but you know, you get the idea. So if I do that again for the subdivision, go back down into geometry editing, on the sub D, right click, change icon, and then I can grab that one, go apply, and accept. Now that's a lot easier to see on here. Okay, now if I wanted to, if I had too many icons down this side or along the top and I wanted to remove it from there, I can disable that, or remove it the same way as I showed you last week or the week before. But I can create a menu and put those in the menu. So going back to F3, and I go up into menus, into the main menu bar, go into DAZ characters and add a sub menu and call this geom edit will do. Apply, accept, and now we've got that. We can actually go back into F3, and you do have to do this, apply, accept, otherwise DAZ can crash, and then you have all sorts of grief. And whatever you've done, it will probably not save it. So if I just grab him onto geometry edit and grab him onto there, apply and accept, we now have our geometry editors up here. Yes, Chrissy, it is. You can save this as a layout, which I do all the time, and you do that by going to Window, to Workspace, oh, come on, Window, Workspace, and save the layout as, and this is because it's now a custom, it will add all the things that you've just created, and it will add them to this new workspace. So I could call this, I don't know, backdoor menus, and accept that, and it saved it. So now if I wanted to go and bring it back, let's say I set this right back to the defaults for DAZ Studio, I can go into Window, Workspace, and select a layout. And I've got quite a few in here, so I'm not going to click on any. But you'll find it down here now. Here's backdoor menus. Okay. And so you can bring that back. So you can create different workspaces as well with different layouts for different things that you're doing. Hey Rod, nice to see you, buddy. Oh, and congrats on your interview on Renderosity. I read it this morning. It was awesome, absolutely awesome. Well done, and I'll congratulate you again. So I just cancel that. So you can have different workspaces. What was I going to do next? Right. There was something I was going to do next and I've completely forgotten. Yes. When I created these, I should have made these slightly smaller. You're right, Rod. You deserve it. I can't wait until you start using the Girl 4 with the iRay conversion on it. I really do. I'm looking forward to seeing you do some Gen 4 material conversions and using it in DAZ Studio. I think you're going to be blown away. Oh, and I posted the Little Bit Girl on ArtStation this morning, the one that we finished in the last session of converting Gen 4 characters. So if you want to go and have a look, it's there. I really should have probably made this 91 by 91, and I would suggest that you do that as well. Because it does tend, unfortunately, to be rather large in the customization window. So, I mean, if I change that now, I can change it right back. And yes, I can do it on export, I know. So if I made this, I don't know, 91 by 91, that would probably be a lot better than the one I did. So, I do suggest you use a lower size for all of them because it just makes life easier, and it's easier to read in when you're customizing, because it does tend to fill up the screen or the pane inside of DAZ Studio in the customizing. See under the custom actions, these are all probably around 128 or 91 by 91. There are a lot in here that are, these are DAZ defaults, and they are 91 by 91, whereas some of them are slightly larger. I don't know why, but they are. So anyway, it's they're all down in there, and you can play around with it. You can have a lot of fun with your menus and with your toolbars. I think right now I'm going to recap on what I did in the first session. So yeah, I saw what you posted, mate. Awesome, absolutely awesome, Rod. Love it. So that you remember what I did last time, I'm just going to recap and go through what we covered in the last session. Just collapse that for a minute. If you want to create a new toolbar, It's pretty similar when you're creating a menu as I showed you before, but just make sure that when you right click anywhere in here, you right click on the last item in the list. Otherwise, wherever you click, it will put the menu after the one you clicked on. Now, to create toolbars, it's not that different. Just click on the last one. It does matter where you click, because that's where it will put it in the hierarchy of all the toolbars. Now BG props, yes, it's active. If I click on this now and add a toolbar, it's going to add it to the end of here, around this area there. If you don't want it there, if you want it at the end of all of these, you'll have to find the menu that corresponds to it. For instance, input output are these here. So if you wanted it in the input output over here, you would actually click on there and create a new menu for the toolbar. I'm going to go back in and make sure that, no, they're there. So if I create another one and create a new toolbar, it's going to put it on the bottom. Okay. Now, I don't know what I'm going to put in it, but I'll just call it test toolbar. Okay. Now, nothing's going to happen until I apply and accept. And I know this looks like an awfully painful process, but believe me, you won't do this very often in your life. You won't. Once you've got it set up, it usually stays that way, unless you find, of course, another command or you've added new content that you'd like to add to it, but that you're not doing on a daily basis, is what I'm saying. Excuse me. So now I have to go into activities, into advanced, and find the toolbars and make sure I right click and enable that toolbar. Otherwise it will not appear. And again, we have to do the old apply, accept, dance. And there's nothing in it, so it's not actually displaying. So let's go and find something to put in it. And go to toolbars, test toolbar. Oh, where are we? What can I put in there? Oh, that'll do. This just sets the resolution for your renders. So I'll just put these in. Oops. Make sure that that one goes up the top. Oh, okay, you come down then. Come on. Oh, don't you hate it? Thank you. Now again, we do the apply, accept, dance. And we have these across here. So that's pretty much how you add new toolbars, and you can put them anywhere you like. You just have to find the corresponding toolbar to put it under or include in. Okay, now we've covered toolbars, we've covered creating new drop-down menus, which if you have a small monitor or a lower res monitor, you might be better off using drop-down menus rather than toolbars. Apply and accept, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's if you've got a say a 1920 by 1080 monitor or lower, or a smaller screen. I mean, my screens are quite large, they're 32 inch and 4K UHD. I would, if I had a smaller monitor, I would probably opt for the pull down menus and not the toolbars. And it's basically the same operation with the, you know, the one click, other than it's 2 clicks, one to open the menu, 2 to click this. With this over here, it's just the one click. Entirely up to you, personal preference or choice, but that really is the way that you create them. And you can add, as I said, DAZ Studio actions or functions, which is what I did over here. I added the viewports, so I don't have to come up into here and go and find them here. I can just do it from over here. And it's all the same. I mean, if you're doing a lot of geometry editing, you might like to have all of your geometry editing down here, like add smoothing modifier, remove smoothing modifier, add subdivision, remove subdivision. It's entirely up to you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree, Rod. That's why I've got 32-inch monitors, because I'm afraid my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. And if I've got 2 sets of glass, well, 3 actually. I have my reading and glasses for the computer. I have my long distance vision for when I'm driving, and prescription sunglasses, which are long vision for when I'm driving, and they are multi-grind. So if I'm looking at the dashboard, I can see it clearly, and I can see if I take my glasses off, these or the other ones, the world is a blur, which from time to time I actually enjoy when the world's a blur, but not when I'm driving. 106-inch monitor. You could hook it up to 255-inch high-def televisions. I've seen that done before. In fact, my son had his hooked up to his 55-inch high-def television at one point. So bifocal, well, multi-grinds, I had to get used to them. It took me at least, I would say, a good 9 to 10 months to get used to the multi-grind, because it's not these, but my other ones. They are long distance, mid distance, close up. When I mean close up, it's like, 16 inches from my face. So yeah, it's a fact of life. I didn't wear glasses up until I was 32. But having worked for what was that? However long that is, 14, 15 years on the drawing board as a draftsman, my eyes were starting to go. And yeah, so I had to get glasses, and I've worn them ever since. Although it's only in the last 4 years that my long vision has deteriorated. So anyway, enough of that blab. You don't want to hear all about my eye problems. So I think it's that's pretty much all I can show you about customizing the DAZ Studio menus, other than, I don't know if you guys use them at all, but I use categories a lot. And I might just run through that very quickly on how to create a category and have them all listed here, because trawling through the content library, whether it be DAZ Studio or Poser, drives me to distraction. I mean, you have to do it to find the things, even to put them in a category. So let me just go and find something that I can put in. That'll do. Pose girls. I'll just do, yeah, will I do that one? Or figures? Where have they gone? Now that's interesting. Ooh, they've disappeared. Very interesting. I think I've already got that one. just find one. No, I've already got a hair one. Oh, that'll do. Wild West. So if I go into what's that? US Cavalry, Air Force, AM, M4. Yeah, that'll do. So if I wanted to create a category, treasure hunt, yeah, you're right. Every time I go through my Poser runtimes, whether it be in Poser, and I have a lot of different runtimes for different things, I've been finding stuff that I didn't even know I had, which is unbelievable. I must go through it one day. I wish you could catalogue it. I mean, there was PZDB and there was another one out that I can't remember the name of, that actually gave you an independent library of all of your content. The problem with it was it used an Access, the Microsoft Access runtime, to sit behind it to create the database, and it was as slow as a wet week. I even tried it on here and it's horrible. So I gave it away. I even toyed a couple of years ago with trying to write my own, but I was working full time at the time and I didn't have the time, and now I just don't have the inclination, so it doesn't matter. All you need to do is right click. Oops, I'm not even in the right screen. How? That's wrong of me. Sorry guys. Find what you want. Now, if it's only one folder, you can right click on it, create category from selected folder. But if it has subfolders like this one does, you can select folders and subfolders. And once you've done that, it's going to actually ask you where you want to put it. Now, if you don't have a category already, you need to just right click on here and create a new subcategory. Okay? But I'm just going to be quick about this, so I'm going to go all the way down to wardrobe male because I already have one, and I'm going to go accept. Now when I go down to my categories and I go all the way down to the bottom, clothes male, US Cavalry, and they're all in there when it decides it wants to find them. And there they are. That's how you create a category. Now, there's one caveat to this. When you're creating categories as opposed to pull-down menus and toolbars, which are saved into a workspace, when you save it to a custom workspace, I mean, it won't do it. Okay? With categories, the only way, if DAZ Studio crashes, or you want to use those categories on another computer, if you've got a NAS drive or a central storage place, or you even just want to transfer that information from one computer to another, what you need to do, and it is imperative that you do this as soon as you've created a new category, is up here around these. Let me just go up here on these little icons here, and I found out the other day that that arrow with all those lines means a list. Okay, that was Richard Hasseltine, who's one of the moderators on the DAZ forums, told me that because I asked him what it meant. And we need to go down to Content DB maintenance. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever done this, but this is an imperative step because, as I said before, if DAZ crashes, you will lose it. Hamburger menu, that's choice. I'll have a Big Mac with fries, thanks. DB maintenance, and you will be presented with this imposing dialog box, which when I first started meant zero to me, until, again, Richard Hazeltine many years ago explained all of this to me in a very long forum post. Now, the one you really want is the export user data. Now, I'm not going to do it because on my system, because I've got over 3 terabytes of content, it will take forever. But that's what you need to do. You hit accept, and it will create what is called a user DSX. And I'll show you in a minute. Once you hit that, off it will go. And it will create it in your DAZ Studio library that is mapped in DAZ Install Manager. So if I come down here, if I find it, and I go down to runtime, where are you? There you are, runtime and support. There we go. And this is going to index, so bear with me, top right. Now, if I go down and find it, in here somewhere, where are you? Oh, it's in here. It's called a user. It's in here. User data. This one here, user data 1, all through to however many times you export your user data. Now, it's imperative that you do the export, otherwise it won't create those files. And the beauty of that, you can actually take the whole of that My DAZ library structure, put it on another computer, and you will have your categories back, as long as you add all of your DAZ content folders and your Poser runtime folders in using Content Directory Manager. So that's what it creates and that's what it uses. So very important that you do that. Well, for sanity's sake, for another reason. If you lose it, I mean, I lost it once when I went from DAZ Studio 4.5 to 4.6 or 7. It got corrupted for some reason, and no, it didn't get corrupted. I forgot to save it or transfer it to the new computer. And of course I wiped the hard drive, didn't I? And I lost it, so I had to recreate them. So just bear in mind that the whole thing needs to go across. So that pretty much covers it for DAZ Studio toolbars and menus and categories. So sanity was at, yeah, I should be certified. Well, at least my ex-wife says so. That's pretty much it. I hope you got something out of this. If you have any questions about this or you'd like more information, please contact me on Discord. Drop me a line and I'll try and explain it as best I can. I want to thank you all again for dropping in and saying hi and watching me waffle on. And yeah, it's been good. So I am, as they say in Australia, Uru. G'day, Cobber. See you later.